Are you moving to or within the Lower Mainland? Well, if you are and you don't really know the areas, you're going to want to watch this video all the way through. And if you're like me and you know these areas because you've lived here your entire life, well, you might want to hold your horses, because the traditional thought is here in Vancouver is as soon as we leave the city and move eastward, or even just outside of the city core, you're going to get more for your money. And I'm here to tell you today, it might not happen, because today's real estate prices here in the Lower Mainland are completely backwards. Well, at least they're backwards compared to traditional norms. And I'm going to prove that to you in this video using market stats provided by my real estate board here in the Fraser Valley, but also the real estate board of Greater Vancouver and also Chilliwack's board. But I'm only going to do that if you give me what I want first. That's right. All I ask in exchange for 3 videos a week all about my marketplace here in Surrey, and well, this video is all about the Lower Mainland, is that you put up with 1 to 3 terrible jokes per video. And I want you to know that my humor is not a rumor, according to Wordle. I also ask that you put up with my negative attitude towards
people that like to complain about house prices in the comments.
And yes, that you click the like button to help me get this information out to more people through the YouTube algorithm. Yep, that's right. In this video, I'm not even going to ask you to please subscribe totally for free right now down below, because I know that 70.2% of you watching right now really don't care to do that. And now with that out of the way, let's dive into house prices in each city across the Lower Mainland. And I want to backpedal a little bit by saying it's always been that the further east you go, like Chilliwack or even Hope, I'm not looking at Hope in this video, by the way, it's too far out, it's not my area. But the further out you go, the cheaper house prices got, and you got way more for your money. In the industry, we even have a term for this called drive until you qualify. Well, we're going to find out if that is still true now, because I saw some crazy Instagram posts recently. By the way, if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's down here somewhere. I saw some crazy Instagram posts recently by local real estate agents across the whole Lower Mainland of how much their markets have gone up. And I was very, very surprised to see that this market has totally flipped. So let's hop into Stat Center here. I'm just going to do this with you live. Let's take a look at exactly what it is we're looking for. Now, currently I'm looking at benchmark price here, which you can see is up 37% across the whole Fraser Valley. So this is North Delta to Mission. That's my board area. That's my marketplace that I service with a focus on Surrey. Now, I can't look at HPI for all areas because Chilliwack actually does not do an HPI. They don't report it. So I'm going to switch over to average sale price. Now, as soon as I do that, you're going to see that the line gets a lot more jagged, kind of ups and downs. Not so bad here when you look at all of the properties, but a lot of the time, well, this is the whole market, so it's not going to be that bad. But let's go ahead and type in Chilliwack. And you're going to see that kind of bumpiness kind of come in here. So what I like to do is I really, you know what? No, I'm not going to smooth it out. That way people can say, you're skewing the numbers. I don't want to smooth it out. I don't want to have a 12-month rolling average. I'm going to look at the sharp price increases or decreases. And this is what I was talking about. Look at this. The red line now down on the bottom is, it's Chilliwack. It's all of Chilliwack, all house prices, and Fraser Valley is right above it. The Fraser Valley increased year over year a crazy staggering 30.1%. And I'm going to make a note of this here on my pad because Chilliwack increased 50.8% across all housing types. Now, this video is probably a little bit too tight to get into each individual asset class. Otherwise, we'll be here for 4 hours. But I want to keep an eye on that 50% number, because that's why I mean by prices are backwards. I think you're going to see, and I haven't done this for all the cities yet. I'm doing it live. I just wanted to see what the increases were per city, because my theory is that the increases are bigger out the further you get away from the downtown, and downtown might actually be one of your better buys these days. Whoever thought downtown Vancouver would be one of your better, cheaper buys these days? Certainly not me. Okay, now let's pop in, and the next city over is Abbotsford. So now we're coming west into the valley, and you're going to see that Abbotsford as a whole is up 20.2%. So Abbotsford actually did not raise as high as the Fraser Valley board average. Now, Abbotsford is right out there near Mission. So in Mission, and this is where that kind of jaggedness comes in, right? Mission is well, it's a massive area, but really the residential is in pretty tight spot. So you won't see as many sales in Mission as you do other places. But look at this. Oh, I've already proven myself wrong. Mission is up 50.9% year over year. And the average house price now in Mission as of last month is $1.182 million. And believe it or not, now that's all asset classes, right? Now here's the difference, and something that we have to consider when we're looking at these numbers. There is way more apartments and townhouses in Abbotsford. So that's actually going to skew the numbers in the wrong direction, because almost all of the homes being sold in Mission are single family homes. So that's kind of what's changing it. You know what? Let's hop into detached just to kind of get our bearings straight. When you hop into just the detached market, Chilliwack is still at the bottom, then Mission, then Abbotsford. So things start to come back into line, but now we have to keep that in mind no matter what we're looking at, because you're going to see this pattern repeat. The overall house price, all property types, Mission is actually ahead, but that's because they're selling a lot of acreages and things in Mission, right? You following? Okay, so let's keep going here. So, wow, Mission is leading, believe it or not, so far. Now, when people look at Mission, they don't so much look at Abbotsford, but they do consider Maple Ridge. Lots of people considering Maple Ridge these days. And we're also going to toss in, when you think about Maple Ridge, you also think about Pitt Meadows. Now look at this kind of bunching up. You know what? I'm going to take the Fraser Valley out of here, because these areas, except for Mission, are not in the Fraser Valley. But look at this kind of bunch up that we get. Pitt Meadows, I'm going to make a note of, is up 41.9%, and Maple Ridge is up 31%. And Mission is now more expensive than Maple Ridge, as is Pitt Meadows. Mission being more expensive than Maple Ridge makes no sense unless we do what we just did in the previous one, which is we go in and we find out that if you're just looking at detached, Mission is still lower. So does that make sense? So don't get shocked by this. Oh, Mission is now more expensive. It's not really. It is as a whole, but it's not really more expensive. So at the same time, when I'm looking at Maple Ridge, Pitt Meadows, Mission, the other city that people want to look at in those is Poco, or otherwise known as Port Coquitlam. And look at this kind of bunching. All of these property prices are right around the same amount. Poco, Pitt Meadows, and Maple Ridge are all separated by like $15,000. The average price being $1,067,000 up to $1,084,000. So, I mean, that's a pretty tight little $20,000 gap, $20,000 gap you got there. And then again, Mission goes up. You know what? Maybe I will do this for each one. Let's take a look at detached. However, this is just specifically detached. Now, Poco, being the closest one into town, comes back being normal into that proper equation that we're thinking about. Pitt Meadows is coming in second place, then Maple Ridge, then Mission. So all is normal again when you take out the fact that there's different asset classes. I'm hearing a lot, like I did a video a little while back about Surrey surpassing Coquitlam, and we're going to find that out here very quickly. But again, as soon as you divide those asset classes up, things change. So in this case, I would say it's all normal. I'm going to write down that Poco is sitting at 38.9% increase. And of course, if anybody is considering, and let me take Mission out of here because that's the furthest. If anybody's considering these areas, they would ideally love to get into Coquitlam. And Coquitlam is currently, there you go, sitting at the top. Now, here's the crazy part. Coquitlam has only increased 19.4%. So far, Coquitlam is the big loser on the overall house prices. I'm going to pop that back into detach. Now, again, Coquitlam, because it's so dense, right? It's closer to town. There's more townhouses. There's a lot more condos. As soon as you go just into detached, look at that, that number shoots up, and Coquitlam is way higher, sitting at $2 million when these other cities like Maple Ridge are, down under 1.5. All right, so now that's kind of the north side of the river that we've covered. I'm going to exit out of all those guys here, and we're going to come back south of the river into my market, which is, we're going to look at Langley. We're going to then compare that to Surrey. Oh, come on, computer, Surrey. Just chubby fingers here, guys. Sorry. I'm going to go Surrey combined. So that's the whole city of Surrey itself. I'm going to see if I can get in White Rock proper. And I'm also going to toss in North Delta. Now, unfortunately, North Delta doesn't always get its due because the city of North Delta is tossed up into, the city of Delta is tossed up into so many different areas. It's a very strange, you can't just look at the city of Delta. Anyway, I'm rambling. Okay, so when we go all property types, now when I'm looking just south of the river, North Delta has taken off. North Delta being over 1.5. Now, this is going to drop back into that same argument. There is not many condos in North Delta. There's a few, but relatively speaking, North Delta is almost all single family detached homes. But North Delta has always lagged behind. For as close to the city as it is, it has always lagged behind. So it's nice to see that is, but we're going to switch this up real quick and find out if that's true. But North Delta as a whole is up 50.1%. So that's competing with Chilliwack and competing with Mission. After that, we have White Rock is only up 8%. And let me tell you what I'm thinking about. I didn't even have White Rock on my list here. That's how much I think about White Rock. Sorry, White Rock. White Rock as a whole is only up 8.5%. And to me, that is ludicrous. Everybody wants to be in White Rock, and it makes no sense to me whatsoever. Really small lots, but I mean, it should be a lot better than that. Surrey combined, or the city of Surrey, is up 32.1%. And the city of Langley. So Surrey is beating out Langley as a whole. Let's call that 30.7%. Now, this to me seems out of whack. I'm going to look at single family detached homes and see if everything comes back into play. Now, see, here's where we go. We look at just single family. White Rock immediately takes first place. Delta drops down to where we expected it should be. Delta and Langley actually neck and neck right there, and then Surrey kind of coming right in the middle. So isn't it funny? We're looking at all these home prices. This is why you can't focus in on home prices across all asset classes. And this is why when we do our Surrey report every single month, we break up those asset classes, because this is, it's kind of a disingenuous way of looking at things. But here's what I wanted to look at. I'm going to leave North Delta and I'm going to take White Rock out. I'm going to take Langley out. New West, as far as I can see, is like suffering. Now, New West is very, very dense. It's the original capital of BC before it was moved to Victoria. New Westminster, is it going to let me do the whole area? Yeah, there we go. And I'm also going to dump in at the exact same time Burnaby. Can I get all of Burnaby in one? Of course I can't. Let's leave Burnaby out for a little bit. Okay, so now we've got New West in there and the blue line, and check that out. New West is sitting at 20%, 20.3. We have North Delta up at 50% still, and the city of Surrey at 32%. But look at that overall house prices. Who ever thought that the overall house price in New West would be $870, and in North Delta it would be 1.5? Well, let's go back to that argument about apartments and detached. I'm gonna log in here and look at apartments. Well, now again, New West takes first place. All of the sudden, it just comes on in, and all of a sudden, my wife will get me on that one. Anyway, I can barely speak English. I sell real estate. I don't spell. Okay, so North Delta is kind of in the middle there for just apartments, but let's look at detached houses now. This is what's mind-blowing to me. New West detached houses are now lower than North Delta and lower than Surrey. It makes absolutely no sense to me that that is the case, other than the fact that you usually get a much newer home on a bigger lot in Surrey than you do in New West. But the fact that Surrey is sitting as a whole at almost $2 million and New Westminster is $250,000 or $200,000+ less than that, like, this is craziness, and to me seems absolutely backwards all the way around. So we missed Poco on the, or sorry, Port Moody on the top. So let me pop back in, and so all my Port Moody, both my Port Moody people don't get mad at me. And then we're going to go Burnaby. You know what? We're going to look at all of Burnaby. There we go. And I'm going to see if I can toss in Richmond. And it may exclude East Richmond, which is all farms, but I'm okay with that. And let's see what we're doing for Vancouver. Alrighty, Port Moody, where are we here? We are the red line. So Port Moody is now beating out Burnaby, right? So Port Moody's up 28%. Burnaby is only up 17%. 17.8% in Burnaby. Like, I don't, to me, it's almost like, hey, I need to go move in closer to town to start to get more for my money. Like, that to me makes absolutely no sense. Richmond is up 30%, which is doing all right. Vancouver itself, 2%. Vancouver's up 2%. Am I doing something wrong, Vancouver agents? I know it's not my market, but 2.3%. Let's take a look at that really quickly when we bust that out into different. Okay, so Vancouver, as soon as we break it out into detached, again, jumps way back up into the over $3 million range. All right, so Vancouver makes a lot more sense now, but look at this. Port Moody is still now above Burnaby, and it's, I mean, Port Moody, Richmond, and Burnaby are all now kind of neck and neck, right? So obviously Vancouver is on the high side of that. What else did I miss? I missed Ladner, so I'm going to leave Richmond in there for a sec, and let's see if we can get some South Delta love going on. Because Ladner is a spot where you're likely going to be, and Tawasin. Does anybody know how to spell Tawasin? It's like TS something, right? So those are all technically Delta, but they're two very different areas in Delta, and a lot of people looking in Richmond come to those areas as well. So all property types right now, we have Tawasin leading the way. That kind of makes sense to me because it is kind of that rich area, really nice spot to be. Lots of good weather by the ocean. Ladner coming in next. And wow, I'm going to say those guys are averaging somewhere around 20%. They're not quite keeping up to the increase of Richmond, but I'm going to assume as soon as I go detached, all the world makes sense again. Ladner's always lower than Tawasin. Tawasin is always lower than Richmond, right? So again, this is all has to do with which type of properties we have there. I'm going to look at this and say, I mean, detached, yeah, it's 20%-ish for South Delta, we're going to call it. Now, dare I don't know these areas. They're not my spot, but I'm going to suggest that we dump Vancouver back in here just so we can take a look. And I'm going to add North Van. And I'm going to also add, hold on to your hats, West Vancouver. West Vancouver. Obviously, West Vancouver is going absolutely crazy. Their prices are sky high. But get this, West Vancouver's down. I don't even understand how that can happen. So West Vancouver is down. I can't believe I'm reading this right. It's down 8.9% in West Vancouver. And North Vancouver is up 16%. And regular old city of Vancouver is up 2%. So as a whole, an area like Chilliwack is up 50%, and an area like West Vancouver is down. Let's pop this back into real life. Now, the other problem with West Vancouver is it's, geographically a smaller smaller area, so not as many sales. But look at that. They're not seeing these crazy spike increases like we have everywhere else. I'm going to move it into apartments. You know, West Vancouver apartments have lost. Here's the problem with average though. Like look back at that. Well, you can't even see it. My face is bored, but there must have been a crazy high sale in apartments in 2019. Because in late 2019 or early 2019, because it's like $3.4 million for apartments. Well, that's not obviously not going to be the case, but let's go back in. So West Vancouver takes the cake again, but now Vancouver and the west side of Vancouver overtake North Vancouver, which we should expect in detached houses. So is that enough rambling for you? Basically what this numbers here are showing me. And shout out, look at that, Tamara Mecki putting my name on a paper and sending it to me. I appreciate you, man. This is telling me that the valley on average is raising between 30 and 50%. And the Richie Rich stuff, like the West Vancouver stuff or Vancouver itself, is either down or flat. And it looks like, from what I'm seeing here, yes, indeed, Surrey is actually coming into its own, and Surrey is now the spot that is starting to surpass some places closer to town. Everywhere else seems to be in pretty good shape. Otherwise, I'm just amazed at the fact that we've seen all these crazy house prices, and the guys who have the really deep pockets in West Vancouver haven't increased at all. Actually, they've lost value. Now, let's go. You know what? I'm going to hop back into that once more because I don't really believe it. I'm going to pop back in and I'm going to change this to what I didn't want to do, which is do 12-month rolling. Yeah, and now we can see when you have a 12-month rolling, you can see that we did dip in 2020 in those kind of high-end areas, but we're doing pretty good. And as soon as we do that average rolling, Vancouver is up 14%. So that's probably much more realistic to what's really going on. Anyway, I hope you found value in that. I hope you know that you could actually get a better deal. I'm going to stop waving this around. That you may be able to get a better deal actually looking in New West than you can in Surrey right now. It looks like if you're looking in Mission and you're looking in Chilliwack, you might actually even be paying more than, say, Abbotsford or Langley. I'm absolutely mind blown by that. So it's important before you just say, hey, I'm going to move east and get more for my money. That may not be true. And to find out if that's true for you, make sure you book a call with me right down below in the description. And if I don't service all of these areas, but if you do need somebody in the city of Vancouver, West Van, or, out in Hope, and like I said, we don't do those areas, I can connect you with people out there, so you can book a call with me as well for that. Make sure to click the like button and of course subscribe. I always appreciate it. If you're an agent looking to introduce video into your business, my course and Tom Story's course are linked down below in the description, and you can use the code Steve10 for 10% off. Thanks for listening to me babble about house prices for so long, and we'll see you in a couple of days.